You won't believe what happened when a housekeeper was told to use the back stairs and stay away from the family she worked for. What she did next didn't just change one child's life. It exposed a truth that makes every credential-obsessed institution uncomfortable. And by the end of this story, you'll question everything you thought you knew about intelligence, expertise, and who we decide deserves a voice. Picture this. A woman reaches out to study herself on a hallway table. Nothing dramatic, just a simple gesture. But the reaction she gets? Ice cold. A voice cuts through the silence, dripping with contempt. "What are you doing up here?" The woman tries to explain that the homeowner asked her to be there, but it doesn't matter. The response is brutal. Listen carefully. Real professionals are working here today. Certified specialists. People with actual degrees. Then comes the line that changes everything. "You're here to clean toilets, not to interfere." Your kind always thinks you can insert yourselves where you don't belong. The woman is told to use the service stairs. Stay in the kitchen. And if she's seen near the family's wing again, she'll be out of a job. She walks away, humiliated, invisible. Just another person the world has decided doesn't matter. But here's what nobody knows yet. In 72 hours, this woman they just dismissed will reach a child in ways that $500,000 in expert therapy couldn't touch. And the people who told her to know her place are about to learn the most expensive lesson of their lives. Let me tell you about Janelle Morrison. She's pushing her cleaning cart down a second-floor hallway, far from where she's supposed to be. The vacuum can wait. The homeowner, Mr. Whitmore, specifically asked her to clean this wing. She's doing her job. Nothing more, nothing less. Then she hears voices. A door opens down the hall and 3 specialists emerge from what she knows is Dylan's therapy room. Their faces tell the whole story before they say a word. Another session. Another failure. The lead therapist, Dr. Thornwood, the same woman who humiliated Janelle earlier, speaks with absolute certainty. He's simply unreachable. The neural pathways aren't forming. I've said this from the beginning. A younger therapist tries to suggest something different, but gets cut off immediately. We've tried everything. And then, as they head toward the stairs, the final blow. Some children are beyond help. The sooner Mr. Whitmore accepts that, the better. They leave. Their expensive heels clicking away. Their expert opinions delivered. Their professional duty done. And that's when Janelle sees him. Dylan. 7 years old, sitting against the wall, small for his age. His hands are moving in repetitive patterns. Fast, then slow, then fast again. Most people would see a child having a meltdown. Acting out. Lost in his own world. But Janelle? She sees something completely different. She sets down her spray bottle. Kneels on the carpet. Watches carefully. Dylan's right hand touches his throat with a light tap. Then both hands make a flowing motion downward. Then he points. It's a sharp gesture, frustrated. He repeats it. Throat, flow point. Throat, flow point. His water bottle sits 3 feet away, just out of reach. And suddenly, Janelle's breath catches in her throat. She's seen this before. Her daughter Elena used to do something almost identical before Janelle learned proper sign language. Creating language from pure need. This child isn't having a meltdown. He's asking for water. He's communicating. He's been communicating this whole time. And nobody's been listening. Slowly, carefully, Janelle copies the gesture. Throat touch, flowing hands. Then she reaches for the water bottle. Dylan's hands freeze mid-motion. His eyes lift and find hers. For a long moment, neither of them moves. The entire world narrows down to this single connection. Janelle extends the bottle toward him. Dylan stares at it, at her, back at the bottle. He takes it, drinks deeply, and then something extraordinary happens. His hand moves to his chest, palm flat. He spreads his fingers outward like a flower opening. Janelle knows that gesture. She taught it to Elena years ago. Her voice comes out in a whisper. Thank you. You just said thank you. Footsteps echo at the end of the hall. Richard Whitmore stands there, frozen, watching his son communicate for the first time in 6 months. He walks forward slowly, and his voice comes out rough with emotion. What did you just do? Now, to understand what happens next, you need to know something. Richard Whitmore's private study smells like leather and old books. Warm lighting, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city. Janelle sits on the edge of a chair, still in her uniform, hands folded. She doesn't belong here. They both know it. Richard paces behind his desk. He's been silent for 30 seconds, and when he finally stops, his words are careful. "Mrs. Morrison, I need you to explain what I just saw." Janelle's response is measured. Cautious. "Mr. Whitmore, I don't want to overstep." But he cuts her off. "You gave my son water." And then the dam breaks. The therapy team spent 90 minutes in that room. He wouldn't look at them, wouldn't respond. They left calling him unreachable. His jaw tightens. "You knelt down for 10 seconds. He looked at you. He communicated. He said thank you." The silence that follows is heavy. "I'm not asking as your employer. I'm asking as a father who just watched his son connect with another human being for the first time in 6 months. Please, how did you know?" Janelle takes a slow breath. Dylan wasn't making random movements. He was signing, just not in any language your specialists know. But they said he can't learn sign language, that his brain doesn't process it. "They're trying to teach him their language," Janelle explains. "Nobody's trying to learn his." And that's when Richard really looks at her. Sees her. "How do you know about sign language?" Here it comes. The moment she has to explain. "My daughter Elena, she's 12 now. She was diagnosed deaf at 6 months old." The words start coming faster. "My husband died when she was 1. Life insurance barely covered the funeral. I couldn't afford interpreters. Couldn't afford special programs. So I taught myself." "You taught yourself?" "Library books first, then online videos, free classes at the community center. 12 years of learning from anyone who'd teach me." She meets his eyes directly now. "I'm not certified, Mr. Whitmore. I don't have degrees on my wall. But I've spent every single day for 12 years communicating with someone the world calls disabled. I learned to see language in places most people miss." Richard's pen taps against his notepad. A rhythm of thinking. "You said Dylan is using his own language. Linguists call it home sign. When deaf children don't have access to formal sign language, they create their own system. It has rules, grammar, consistency. It's real language, just personalized." She leans forward slightly. "Dylan's therapists are trying to force his brain into their box. Standard methods, standard approaches. But his brain doesn't work standard, so he invented his own way to communicate. And everyone's calling it failure." The leather chair creaks as Richard stands. He walks to the window, looks out at nothing. "Can you learn it?" "His language?" "I think so if he'll let me." "And then what?" "Teach him actual sign language once you've built that bridge." "That's the idea." Richard turns back. Dr. Thornwood has 3 PhDs, 20 years of experience. She's published in every major journal. And she just told me my son is hopeless. He crosses his arms. "You clean houses for a living. No degree, no certification, no credentials." Janelle starts to stand, thinking this conversation is over. "Mr. Whitmore, I understand." But he stops her. "Sit, please." She lowers back down, confused. "Here's what I know about credentials. My company's best software engineer never finished high school. My head of security learned everything from military field experience. My most profitable investment came from a 19-year-old college dropout." He walks back to his desk. "Degrees tell me you showed up to class. Results tell me you can do the work." The pen taps again. "I'm not asking you to replace Dylan's therapy team. I'm asking if you'd spend time with him. Document what you see. Build this bridge you're talking about." Janelle's throat tightens. "If Dr. Thornwood finds out, let me worry about Dr. Thornwood." His voice is firm, final. "You'll have full access. His therapy records, his medical files, his daily schedule. Everything." He opens a drawer, pulls out a leather journal, sets it on the desk between them. "My wife kept this. Observations about Dylan before she passed. Maybe it'll help." Janelle stares at the journal, feeling the weight of what he's offering. "Mr. Whitmore, what if I fail? Then we're exactly where we are now." He pushes the journal toward her. "But if you succeed," my son gets his voice back. "But here's what you need to understand about why Janelle says yes. 11 years ago, there was a Thursday afternoon at Howard University. Linguistics lab, afternoon light streaming through tall windows. Janelle Morrison was 27, bright, hungry, presenting her research on nonverbal communication patterns in isolated communities. Her advisor leaned back in his chair with a smile. "This is PhD-level thinking, Janelle. You could make a real contribution to this field." She smiled back, seeing her future. "Professor Morrison. Research. Making a difference." Then her phone rang. Hospital. Her husband Marcus had collapsed at work. Cerebral hemorrhage. They were doing everything they could. He died 3 hours later. The funeral was on a Tuesday. The eviction notice came 2 weeks after that. Life insurance barely covered the burial plot. Elena was 14 months old. 1 month later, Janelle packed her thesis notes into a storage unit she couldn't afford to keep, sold her textbooks, and dropped out. The first house she cleaned belonged to a lawyer. He didn't look at her when he handed over the key. Nobody looked at her anymore. She wasn't Janelle Morrison, linguistics scholar. She was the help. The dropout. The single mother who couldn't make it work. Her intelligence didn't disappear, but everyone's ability to see it did. That was 11 years ago. Now, in her small apartment, Elena sits at the kitchen table doing homework. "Mom," her hands move in sign language. She's been signing since she was 2. "You're really going to work with Mr. Whitmore's son?" Janelle signs back. "I'm going to try." "With the language stuff like what you studied?" "Yes, like that." Elena's face lights up. 12 years old, beautiful, smart. Everything Janelle has fought for. "You never talk about college. Do you miss it?" The question hits harder than expected. Janelle sets down her coffee mug, signs slowly. "Every single day." Elena comes over, hugs her mother tight. "You're going to be amazing. You know that, right?" Janelle holds her daughter, breathes in the moment. Some people get second chances. Most don't. And Janelle Morrison is about to fight for hers. This isn't just about Dylan anymore. It's about proving to Elena and to herself that who she was didn't end when circumstances forced her to become someone smaller. Tomorrow, she's going to show them what they've been too blind to see. Day 1. Monday morning. Dylan's playroom. Janelle sits on the floor, notebook open, pen ready, 10 feet away from Dylan. Dr. Thornwood stands by the door, arms crossed, watching. "We'll observe your methodology," Thornwood says. The word drips with skepticism. Janelle doesn't respond. She just watches Dylan. He's building with blocks. Red ones, blue ones, stacking them carefully. His breathing changes when the tower gets tall. Faster, shallow. The tower falls. Dylan's hands shoot up. Both palms rising sharply, then dropping. His face crumples. Janelle writes. Tower collapse. Both hands rise and fall. Distress marker means failure or loss. 90 minutes pass. She doesn't speak, doesn't approach, just observes. The scratch of pencil on paper. Dylan's small sounds. The clock ticking. Thornwood's impatient sighing. Day 3. Wednesday. Janelle has documented 23 distinct gestures, each one repeated, consistent, meaningful. It's Dylan's snack time. The housekeeper brings apple slices. Dylan looks at them, and his face changes. He pushes the plate away hard. His hand taps his throat with sharp movements. Head shaking. Pushing motion with both palms. The housekeeper frowns. He's refusing again. This is the 3rd day. Wait, Janelle steps closer. It's not a refusal. He's saying something. What? The texture. He's saying the texture is wrong. Thornwood makes a dismissive sound. Behavioral observation. Nothing more. Try smooth applesauce instead of slices. The housekeeper hesitates, looks at Thornwood. Just try it, Richard says from the doorway. Nobody had noticed him arrive. The housekeeper leaves, comes back with smooth applesauce. Dylan's whole body relaxes. He eats. The housekeeper stares in disbelief. How did you know? Janelle closes her notebook. Because he told me. Day 5. Friday morning. Medical center. Routine blood work. Dylan needs his quarterly tests. The nurse prepares the needle. Dylan sees it. Panic floods his system. His hands fly everywhere, erratic, defensive. His breathing spikes. We'll need to restrain him, the nurse says gently. It's protocol. He always fights. Richard's jaw tightens. There has to be another way. Janelle kneels at eye level with Dylan. Her hands move slowly, deliberately. First, the gesture Dylan uses for hurt. Finger tapping location quick. Then she creates something new. A soft touch to his arm, her fingers spreading outward slowly. She's asking, will this hurt? A little, then answering, but then it ends. Small pain, then freedom. Dylan's eyes lock on her hands, processing. He's never had someone explain what's coming in his language with honesty. Slowly, so slowly, Dylan extends his arm. The nurse's eyes widen. She draws the blood quickly, professionally. Dylan winces, but he doesn't pull away. He keeps watching Janelle's face. When the bandage goes on, Dylan makes a new gesture. His hand pressed to his heart with 2 firm taps. Janelle understands immediately. Brave. You're saying you were brave. She repeats his gesture back to him. Validation. Dylan's small smile is worth everything. The nurse stands there, stunned. In 3 years, we've never done that without restraints. What did you do? Richard's voice comes from behind them, rough with emotion. She spoke his language. Dr. Thornwood watches from the doorway. Her face is unreadable. She turns and leaves without a word. That silence is more dangerous than any argument, because Thornwood isn't defeated. She's planning. The formal dining room has been converted into a conference space. Long table, leather chairs, professional and cold. Richard sits at the head. Dylan's full care team fills the sides. Dr. Patricia Thornwood, Dr. Raymond Carter, pediatric neurologist, Dr. Allison Webb, child psychologist, Karen Foster, special education coordinator, and Janelle at the far end, separated by 12 feet of polished wood. Thornwood opens her folder. Mr. Whitmore, we need to address your unorthodox addition to Dylan's care team. Janelle has gotten results. Anecdotal results. Thornwood's tone is surgical. Dylan has good days and bad days. Mrs. Morrison happened to be present during good days. Correlation, not causation. Dr. Carter leans forward. Home sign systems are documented, yes, but they're limiting. Dylan needs standardized sign language for long-term development. Encouraging his invented signs could actually delay real progress. Karen Foster adjusts her glasses. There are liability concerns. If something happens to Dylan in Mrs. Morrison's care, and she has no credentials, no training, no certification, the legal exposure is significant. Dr. Webb's voice is softer, almost sympathetic. I appreciate Mrs. Morrison's enthusiasm. I really do. But therapeutic relationships require professional boundaries, training in childhood trauma, understanding of attachment theory, the psychological implications of what she's attempting. She pauses delicately. Has she had any formal education in these areas? All eyes turn to Janelle. She's been shrinking in her chair, feeling smaller with each word. But something shifts. May I respond? Surprised silence. Janelle straightens. Dr. Carter, you're right that standardized sign language is important long-term. But Dylan's home sign isn't invented nonsense. It's a linguistic creation, which actually indicates advanced cognitive processing. Her voice steadies. If we validate his system first, we build trust. Then we can introduce sign language as a second language. Research shows bilingual acquisition is easier than forcing a rejected first language. You know this. It's basic applied linguistics. Dr. Carter blinks, taken aback. Dr. Webb, you're right. I haven't had formal training in childhood trauma, but I've read Dylan's entire file. Every evaluation, every therapy note, including your published paper on nonverbal communication in traumatized children. She looks directly at Webb. Your own research supports exactly what I'm doing. The room shifts. Richard leans forward slightly, something like a smile at the corner of his mouth. Thornwood's face reddens. Reading papers doesn't make you a professional. You clean houses, Mrs. Morrison. That's not an insult. It's a fact. The words hang sharp in the air. We spent years earning our credentials. Degrees, certifications, clinical hours. You can't simply walk in with your bucket and mop and... Dr. Thornwood, Richard's voice cuts clean. I'm going to stop you there. The steel underneath his calm is unmistakable. I respect credentials. I've paid for the best. But I also built a Fortune 500 company by recognizing talent wherever it appears. Janelle is producing results. If you can match those results with your methods, please do it. He stands. But until then, she stays on the team. Thornwood's hands shake slightly. Then I resign. She gathers her materials, stands. You can't have it both ways, Mr. Whitmore. Professional standards exist for a reason. When this experiment fails, and it will, don't say you weren't warned. She walks out, heels clicking, door closing with finality. The remaining team members look uncomfortable, but none follow. Dr. Webb speaks first. I'll stay, but we need documentation. Everything Janelle does, documented. Richard nods. Agreed. The meeting ends quietly, but the real battle has just begun. 3 weeks later, Dylan Whitmore is a different child. Morning routine, kitchen, 7:30. Dylan's hands move with purpose. He points to his chest, then makes the gesture for blue, then points to his shirt drawer. The housekeeper understands immediately. You want a blue shirt? Dylan nods, smiles. It's the first time he's chosen his own clothing. Janelle watches from the doorway, her documentation book filled with progress notes. Dylan's gesture vocabulary now numbers 127 signs in his own system, plus 43 standard sign language signs she's taught him. He's becoming bilingual. Breakfast. Dylan makes the sign for hungry, then points to the pantry, specific cabinet, third shelf. He wants the honey cereal, not the regular one. For 7 years, people had chosen everything for him. Now he's choosing for himself. The housekeeper has learned Dylan's basic signs. She responds in kind, adding the standard sign language equivalent. Honey cereal, good choice. The data is undeniable. Communication attempts per day, 3 to 5 before, now 40 to 60. Behavioral episodes down 70%. Eye contact increased from 5% of interactions to 60%. Dylan isn't just communicating. He's connecting. Saturday morning, public park, first outdoor excursion in 8 months. Dylan wants the swings. They're occupied. Old Dylan would have melted down or withdrawn completely. New Dylan stands watching, waiting, then makes his sign to Janelle. Wait, then another turn. You want to wait for your turn? He nods. 5 minutes later, a child climbs off the swing and approaches Dylan. The child says something. Dylan doesn't understand the words, but he watches the child's gesture. Pointing at the swing, questioning face. Dylan responds with his own signs. His turn gesture, then holds up 5 fingers. 5 more pushes, then you can have it. The other child doesn't understand the specific signs, but understands the meaning. The child nods, steps back. Dylan's first successful social negotiation. Janelle sits on the bench, tears streaming down her face. This simple, ordinary childhood interaction. This is what $500,000 in therapy couldn't buy. Connection. Agency. The ability to exist in the world as himself. That afternoon, Karen Foster arrives at the estate. She finds Richard in his study. Janelle is there, showing him Dylan's progress charts. Mr. Whitmore, I have news. Karen sets down her folder. Good news and complicated news. Richard looks up. Tell me. The school district reviewed Dylan's progress. They're willing to mainstream him into their deaf education program starting next semester. That's wonderful. Yes, but... Karen's expression shifts. They require all students to use standardized sign language exclusively. Dylan's home sign system won't be accommodated in the classroom. The room goes quiet. And Janelle can't accompany him. District policy. Educational aides must be certified teachers or licensed therapists. Richard's jaw tightens. So Dylan's ready for school, but the school isn't ready for Dylan. That's one way to put it. Janelle stares at her documentation. Months of work, breakthrough after breakthrough, and now the system is going to undo it all. Success has created a new problem. Dylan is ready for the world, but the world still wants him to fit into their boxes. The question isn't whether Dylan can learn. It's whether anyone will let him learn his way. Whitmore Technologies headquarters, 42nd floor, corner office with a view of the entire city. Richard has called Janelle in for a meeting at 6 o'clock after her shift. She still wears her uniform, feels out of place among the glass and steel. I've been making calls. Richard gestures to a chair. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, Georgetown University, Department Head of Linguistics. He hands Janelle a tablet. On screen, an email, long, detailed. Janelle's hands tremble as she reads. This is the most comprehensive documentation of spontaneous home sign development I've seen in 20 years. The linguistic analysis is graduate-level work. The methodological rigor is exceptional. Who is this researcher? Janelle looks up. She thinks I'm a researcher. Dr. Rodriguez wants to meet you. Richard leans back. She's offering academic sponsorship. You'd complete your degree in special education linguistics. Your work with Dylan would count as practicum credit. Mr. Whitmore, I can't afford. Full scholarship, already arranged through the Whitmore Foundation. The words don't make sense. Janelle shakes her head. I don't understand. Why would you? It's not charity, Richard's voice is firm. We fund promising research. This qualifies. But I'd have to stop working with Dylan. I can't leave him in the middle of hybrid program. You continue with Dylan during the day. Classes are evening and online. It'll take 3 years instead of 2, but you'll have your degree. And more importantly, you'll have credentials to follow Dylan into the school system. Janelle sets down the tablet, her throat tight. Mr. Whitmore, why are you doing this? Richard is quiet for a long moment. He walks to the window, looks out at the city lights. My wife, before she died, she made me promise something. His voice roughens. She said, don't let Dylan's disability be the only thing people see. Make sure the world sees the brilliant, creative kid he is. He turns back. I've been so focused on fixing Dylan that I almost missed the parallel. I was looking at you and seeing the maid, not seeing the person who was saving my son. This isn't charity, Janelle. It's me keeping my promise to my wife. Make sure people see what's actually there. The silence stretches, heavy with meaning. I'll need to talk to my daughter. Janelle's voice cracks. This means less time at home, more pressure on her. Elena's school tuition also covered. Same foundation. Richard's expression softens. Smart kids deserve opportunities too. Janelle can't speak. Tears stream freely now. Richard extends his hand. Partners. She stands, shakes his hand firmly. Not employer and employee. Equals. Richard opens his desk drawer, pulls out his late wife's journal, the one he'd given Janelle to study. Keep it. You've been continuing her work. She'd want you to have it. Janelle holds the leather journal, feeling the weight of trust, of belief, of someone finally seeing her. Thank you, she whispers. Thank you, Richard says back, for seeing my son. 6 weeks into Janelle's work with Dylan, his 8th birthday approaches. The estate kitchen evening. Janelle is finishing up, wiping down counters. Richard enters, unusual. He rarely comes to the kitchen. Janelle, I need advice. He looks uncertain, vulnerable. The billionaire CEO lost. Dylan's birthday is Saturday. First one since his mother passed. I don't know what to do. Last year he couldn't tell us what he wanted. This year he can, but I'm afraid to ask. Afraid I'll get it wrong. Janelle sets down her cloth. Have you asked him? How? Come on, I'll show you. Dylan's bedroom, soft lamplight. The room is neat but impersonal, decorated by professionals who didn't know him. Dylan sits on his bed reading a picture book. He looks up when they enter, surprised to see his father at this hour. Janelle moves slowly, deliberately. She demonstrates the signs, clear and simple. What do you want for your birthday? How do you want to celebrate? Richard watches, awkward at first. His hands move stiffly, but he tries. Copies her movements. What do you want for your birthday? Dylan's eyes widen. His father is using his language, actually trying to speak to him. For a long moment, Dylan just stares. Then his hands move. He points to a poster on his wall, an aquarium, bright fish, blue water. Then he makes the sign for swim, his gesture for water, flowing hands. He points to himself, then to Richard. Janelle's voice is soft. He wants to go to the aquarium with you. Richard's face crumples. That's it? Just the aquarium? With you. Janelle emphasizes. That's the important part. Richard sits on Dylan's bed, his hands shaking slightly. He signs slowly with Janelle's help. Yes, you and me promise. Dylan's smile is enormous, pure joy. He launches forward, hugs his father tight. Richard holds his son, tears streaming silently down his face. 7 years. 7 years of distance, of barriers, of not knowing how to reach across the silence. And it took 4 signs to bridge it. This is what was actually at stake. Not Dylan's ability to communicate with therapists or teachers or the world. His ability to communicate with his father. To be seen by the one person who mattered most. Janelle quietly backs toward the door, giving them privacy. In the hallway, she pauses, wipes her own eyes. Next morning, Richard finds Janelle in Dylan's playroom. Thank you, his voice is rough, for teaching me how to talk to my son. I've been paying people to do that for 3 years. You're the first person who actually did it. Janelle smiles. Mr. Whitmore, you learned in 10 minutes what took specialists months. You know why? Why? Because you actually wanted to hear him. That's the only credential that really mattered. The school district requires a formal evaluation. 3-person panel, 90 minutes, 1 decision. Dylan Whitmore will either attend mainstream school with support or be placed in a residential facility for children deemed too severe to integrate. Everything comes down to this. The Whitmore Estate living room has been converted into an evaluation space. Clinical cold. A table for the panel. A play area for Dylan. Dr. Marcus Thompson, district psychologist, 50s, kind eyes but bound by protocol. Susan Brennan, special education supervisor, practical, fair, overworked. And Dr. Patricia Thornwood, invited back as an external consultant. Her expression says everything. She's come to watch this fail. Richard stands by the doorway. Janelle sits near Dylan, notebook ready. Dr. Thompson opens his folder. Let's begin. Dylan, can you look at me? Dylan doesn't respond, doesn't understand spoken instructions. Dylan, Thompson tries again louder. Nothing. Thompson makes a note. Non-responsive to direct address. He holds up a card. Red circle. Can you tell me what color this is? Silence. Blue square. How about this one? Dylan's anxiety is rising. His breathing changes, hands starting to fidget. Let's try basic sign language. Thompson signs slowly, standard signs. What is your name? Dylan stares blankly. The signs mean nothing to him. Thornwood leans forward. As you can see, the child lacks functional communication ability. The progress Mr. Whitmore described isn't evident under proper evaluation conditions. Susan Brennan tries a gentler approach. Dylan, sweetie, can you show us how you talk? Dylan is shutting down, pulling back, his safe response when overwhelmed. He retreats to the corner, begins rocking, hands over his ears. Thompson sighs, writes more notes. I'm seeing severe social communication disorder, inability to respond to multiple communication modalities. My recommendation would be, stop. Everyone turns. Janelle has stood up. You're evaluating him in a language he doesn't speak. Let me translate. Thornwood's voice cuts sharp. Mrs. Morrison, this is a standardized evaluation. We cannot modify. Let her try. Richard's voice from the doorway final. Janelle moves slowly, sits on the floor at Dylan's level. Her hands move. Dylan's language, his signs. The gesture for scared, then safe, then try. Dylan's rocking slows. His hands come down from his ears. He looks at Janelle. She signs again, asking permission, offering safety. Dylan nods, small, uncertain. Janelle turns to the panel. Ask your questions. I'll interpret both ways. Dr. Thompson hesitates. Can he identify colors? Janelle's hands move. Dylan's system, clear, simple. Dylan immediately points to colored objects around the room, makes his color signs for each one. Red, blue, yellow, green. Thompson's eyebrows raise. Can he express emotions? Janelle interprets. Dylan demonstrates. Hand on heart spreading outward, happy. Hand down his face, sad. Clenched fists forward, angry. Hands trembling, scared. Brennan leans forward, interested now. Can he sequence? Tell a story? Janelle asks in Dylan's language. Tell them about your birthday. Dylan's whole face changes, lights up. His hands move rapidly, animated. His sign for father, then aquarium, gesture mimicking swimming fish, his sign for happy, and finally, a gesture that makes Richard's breath catch. Dylan touches his heart, then points directly at his father. Janelle's voice is soft. He went to the aquarium with his father. They saw fish swimming. He was happy, and he felt loved. The room goes silent. Susan Brennan's eyes glisten. Thompson sits back, stunned. Even Thornwood has no immediate response. Richard speaks from the doorway, voice breaking. "That's my son. That's who he is. He's not broken. He just needed someone to listen." Thornwood recovers first. "This is pedagogically irresponsible. You're enabling a communication system that exists nowhere else. When Mrs. Morrison isn't available, Dylan will be helpless. You're setting him up for failure." Janelle stands, faces Thornwood directly. "When I'm not available, he'll use sign language. We've been teaching him both. He knows 43 standard signs now. He's bilingual. That's not limiting him. That's expanding his options. You're not certified. I will be." Janelle's voice is steady. "I'm enrolled at Georgetown, supervised by Dr. Elena Rodriguez. And I've been hired by the Whitmore Foundation as a linguistics specialist focusing on home sign systems." The news lands. Richard had formalized her position that morning. Thornwood's face reddens, but she says nothing. Dr. Thompson clears his throat. "Mrs. Morrison, what you've documented is remarkable, truly. But here's my concern. Can Dylan function in a classroom without you? Give him a trial week. Mainstream deaf education. I'll train one aide in Dylan's basic language system, just the essentials. Let's see if he can adapt. And if he can't, then we revisit. But he deserves the chance to try." Thompson looks at Brennan. Some silent communication passes between them. They step into the adjacent room, deliberate. 5 minutes. The longest 5 minutes of Janelle's life. The clock ticks. Dylan plays quietly, unaware of what hangs in the balance. Richard's hand rests on Janelle's shoulder. Thornwood gathers her materials, expression unreadable. The panel returns. Thompson speaks. Trial approval. 1 semester, mainstream deaf education classroom with trained support aide. Monthly evaluations. If Dylan shows continued progress, we make it permanent. He pauses. "Mrs. Morrison, the district has 17 other children with complex communication needs. Would you be willing to work with them as a paid consultant?" Janelle's throat closes. "Yes, I'd be honored." Thornwood stands abruptly. "I hope you understand the precedent you're setting." Thompson meets her gaze. "I do. We're setting a precedent that we listen to what works, regardless of where it comes from." Thornwood's jaw tightens. She walks to the door, stops. "When this fails, don't say I didn't warn you." The door closes behind her, final. Dylan has been watching. He walks over to Janelle, makes the sign they'd created together. Hand to chest, spreading outward. "Thank you." Then something new. Dylan's hands form a circle, hold it over his heart. Janelle's eyes fill. "What's that?" Dylan signs in his system. Clear, deliberate. "Friend." The panel watches. Susan Brennan wipes her eyes openly. Dr. Thompson smiles. "Mrs. Morrison, I think you just proved our point." Richard steps forward, puts his hand on Dylan's shoulder. "My son has a voice now because someone finally listened." Janelle kneels, hugs Dylan. 7 years of silence, broken. Not by expensive specialists, not by credentials or degrees. By someone who cared enough to learn his language instead of forcing him to learn theirs. 6 months later. Georgetown University auditorium. 300 people fill the seats. Speech pathologists, educators, linguists, disability advocates, journalists. Academic conference. Bridging communication. Innovations in developmental linguistics. The stage is simple. A podium, 3 chairs, a screen for presentations. Dr. Elena Rodriguez steps to the microphone. "Today we're presenting research that challenges everything we thought we knew about language acquisition in nonverbal children." She pauses. "Our presenter didn't have a degree when this work began. She had something more valuable. The humility to learn from a 7-year-old boy." Applause. "Please welcome Janelle Morrison." Janelle walks onto the stage, Professional clothes, confident stride, her documentation materials under her arm. 6 months ago, she'd been told to use the back stairs. Today, she's presenting research submitted to the Journal of Child Language. She reaches the podium, looks out at the audience. 18 months ago, a doctor told me I was a distraction to real professionals. Told me to stay in my place, use the service entrance, know my role. The room goes quiet. Today I'm here because I forgot to stay in my place. Scattered laughter known. I want to start with a question. How many of you have ever been underestimated? Hands rise throughout the auditorium. Dozens, then more. Keep your hands up if someone told you that you didn't belong somewhere because of your background, your degree, the way you look. More than half the room. Now put your hands down if you let that stop you. Most hands lower. A few remain up. Nervous laughter. This is a story about not letting that stop you. More importantly, it's about what we miss when we decide someone doesn't have value before we bother to listen. The presentation begins. Slides appear on screen. Dylan's gesture dictionary, 200 documented signs. Video footage, split screen. Dylan at 7, non-communicative. Dylan at 8, bilingual. When we validated Dylan's spontaneous language system before introducing standardized sign language, his acquisition rate tripled. Why? Janelle clicks to the next slide. Because we signaled, your way of understanding the world is valid. Now let me show you additional tools. She looks out at the audience. This isn't revolutionary. It's respect. Video plays. Dylan in his mainstream classroom, signing with other deaf students. Standard sign language. Fluent. Natural. Then recess. Dylan teaching his home signs to hearing classmates. They laugh together, play together. Dylan is thriving. The video ends. Dylan now functions in 2 languages, his intuitive home sign system and American Sign Language. He code switches depending on context, the same way any bilingual person does. Another slide. Statistics. Based on this success, the Whitmore Foundation funded a pilot program, First Language Validation Protocol. In 6 months, we've worked with 23 children previously labeled unreachable. 19 are now communicating effectively. 4 are in mainstream classrooms. The numbers are undeniable. Janelle steps back. Richard Whitmore will share the parental perspective. Richard takes the podium, composed, but emotion underneath. I'm a businessman. I believe in return on investment. I spent $500,000 on specialists, therapies, equipment, state-of-the-art interventions. He pauses. I got incremental improvement. Another pause. I paid one woman, someone I'd barely noticed was brilliant, a fraction of that amount. She gave me my son back. His voice roughens. The lesson isn't about money. It's about who we decide has expertise. For 3 years, I listened to people with credentials tell me what Dylan couldn't do. It took someone without credentials to show me what he could. He looks directly at the audience. If you're a parent, an educator, a professional in this room, I'm asking you to look around. Who are you not seeing? What genius have you overlooked because it came in the wrong packaging? The applause starts before he finishes. Standing ovation. Richard steps back, gestures. Dylan walks onto the stage, 8 years old now, confident. He wears a small microphone. An interpreter stands ready. Dr. Rodriguez kneels to his level. Dylan, would you like to share? Dylan nods. His hands move, both systems simultaneously, his home signs flowing into standard sign language. The interpreter speaks his words. I was locked inside. Janelle found the key. Not because she was smartest. Because she looked. The simplicity of it. The truth. The entire auditorium rises. Applause thunders. Janelle stands there, tears streaming. This is real. This is happening. The conference ends. The media swarms. Local news. Housekeeper turned linguist revolutionizes deaf education. Washington Post feature. When credentials don't equal competence. National radio interview. Janelle discusses broader implications for marginalized communities. Richard's social media post goes viral. Photo of Janelle and Dylan. Caption, this is what hiring for talent, not pedigree, looks like. 2 million views in 48 hours. 1 week later, Georgetown Linguistics Department. Dr. Rodriguez's office. Janelle, sit down. Rodriguez slides a folder across the desk. You've been accepted into our PhD program, full scholarship. Georgetown wants to establish the Morrison Center for Home Sign Research. You'd be the founding director after graduation. Janelle stares. A center with my name? Your work is changing the field. We want to make sure it continues, grows, reaches every child who needs it. That evening, Janelle's apartment. Elena sits at the kitchen table, homework spread out, 13 now, growing up fast. Janelle collapses on the couch. Elena signs. How was PhD orientation? Terrifying, exciting. I don't know what I'm doing. Elena brings her mother tea, role reversal, the daughter caring for the mother. Mom, you've known what you're doing since I was a baby. You finally get to do it. She sits beside Janelle. I'm proud of you, you know that? Janelle pulls Elena close. Baby, I'm proud of us. You held everything together while I figured this out. This is your win too. 2 months later, Dylan's 9th birthday party. Not fancy, normal. Backyard, bounce house, kids everywhere. Deaf classmates, hearing classmates, all of them communicating, signing, laughing. Dylan runs past. Pure joy, completely integrated. Janelle arrives. Miss Morrison, educational consultant now, but still close to the family. Dylan sees her, runs over. His hands move, clear, emotional. Thank you for my voice. Janelle signs back. You always had a voice. I just helped other people hear it. Richard approaches, holding an envelope. Open it. Inside, a certificate, official, embossed. The Sarah Whitmore Morrison Center for Communication Innovation. Dedication of the new Linguistics building wing, named for his late wife and for Janelle, together. My wife started this by seeing Dylan, Richard says quietly. You finished it by seeing yourself. This honors both of you. Janelle can't speak, just holds the certificate. Full circle. Later that day, Janelle stands in the Whitmore estate foyer. The same marble floor, the same grand staircase, but she's not holding cleaning supplies anymore. She stands in the center of the room, not off to the side, not using the back stairs. Equal, visible, valued. The woman who'd been told to stay invisible had become impossible to ignore. Janelle Morrison's story isn't just about one woman and one child. It's about a question we should all be asking. How many geniuses are we ignoring because they're wearing the wrong uniform? 2 years later, the Morrison Protocol spread across 47 school districts. Training materials, video modules, step-by-step guides for validating home sign before introducing standardized language. Success rate, 73% of previously unreachable children now communicating. The Whitmore Foundation's Second Chance Scholarship Program grew. 100 adult learners returning to finish interrupted degrees. Single parents, people from service industries. Requirement, demonstrated talent regardless of credentials. 623 people enrolled, studying, building the future they'd been forced to defer. Policy changed too. 8 states passed legislation. Educational aides no longer required 4-year degrees if they demonstrated specialized competency. The Morrison exception. 1,200 people employed in special education who previously couldn't access the field. Dylan turned 10, fully mainstreamed, thriving. He teaches sign language to hearing students now, both standard and his home sign system. The teacher asked him to lead a weekly session. His dream, to become a teacher himself. Janelle's career transformed. PhD in progress. Defense scheduled for next spring. 3 published papers co-authored with Dr. Rodriguez. Her talk on education innovation hit 4 million views. The language nobody learned. She consults for school districts nationwide. Still works with Dylan weekly, not as an employee, as a friend. But here's what the highlight reel doesn't show. The cost. Janelle worked 2 jobs while doing graduate school. Elena learned to cook dinner at 13. There were nights Janelle fell asleep at her desk. Mornings she questioned if she could keep going. Miracles don't happen without sacrifice. But she'd tell you worth it. Every single exhausting day worth it. 5 years after that first conference, another academic gathering. Dr. Patricia Thornwood approaches Janelle at the coffee break. Mrs. Morrison, may I speak with you? Janelle turns surprised. Thornwood's expression is different, softer. I owe you an apology. I was wrong about your methods, and more importantly, about you. Silence stretches between them. I spent my career believing credentials were everything, that the system existed for good reason. You showed me I was protecting the system instead of helping children. Janelle nods slowly. I appreciate that, but I also learned from you. Credentials do matter, just not as much as curiosity. I have both now. They shake hands, not quite friends, but mutual respect. Growth looks different for everyone. So here's the question for you right now watching this. Who is Janelle in your life? Is it the janitor who notices when systems fail before the engineers do? The receptionist who understands customer psychology better than the marketing team? The assistant who's been quietly solving problems above their pay grade? Or maybe it's you. Maybe you're the one being overlooked, dismissed because someone decided your resume matters more than your results. Here's what you can do. 3 things starting today. 1. Notice the invisible people. The ones society trained you not to see. Learn their names. Ask about their lives. You might be surprised who they really are. 2. Question credentials. Not to dismiss education matters. But ask, does this person produce results? If yes, figure out how to make room for them. 3. Tell someone's story. If you know a Janelle, someone brilliant who's been overlooked, advocate for them. Use your platform, whatever size it is. One person speaking up can change a life. The Morrison Center for Communication Innovation opened on a Tuesday. Janelle cut the ribbon, Dylan beside her, signing to the crowd. Elena filming on her phone proud. Richard applauding. The camera panned across the diverse gathering. Former students, second-chance scholars, families of children helped by the Morrison Protocol, educators implementing new approaches, people who'd been told they didn't matter, proving everyone wrong. Janelle spoke at the opening. My mother used to say, smart is something you are. Educated is something you become. Today I'm both. But I was always smart. She paused, let the words land. The world just needed to catch up. Another pause. Don't wait for the world to catch up to you, and don't make anyone else wait either. The applause was deafening. But the real impact, the quiet moments after. People approaching strangers, starting conversations, seeing each other differently. One interaction at a time, building a world where talent matters more than pedigree, where intelligence is recognized regardless of packaging, where no one has to use the back stairs. If you've ever been underestimated, this story is for you. If you've ever overlooked someone, this story is your wake-up call. Comment below and tell me, who is your Janelle? Who have you seen that the world hasn't? Because someone's brilliance is counting on you to notice it. And maybe, just maybe, the person who needs to be noticed. Either way, don't stay silent. The world needs voices like yours, credentials or not.